make host. Huh.
Morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here at this lovely hour. If you are muted, you can unmute yourself on the lower left-hand corner and just kind of chime in and say hello. We do ask that you mute yourself for during the presentation, whoever's speaking, just because there's extraneous background noise in all of our houses. We are recording this meeting. We have been live chatting and we're working on letting people in. Corrine is busy at that. Do you want me to take the host back while you speak, Corrine?
Sure.
Just so that you remember, up in the upper right-hand corner in the black bar around the people's visions, there's a view screen and there's a grid, so you can see everybody in the grid, or you can click speaker view and you'll see whoever's speaking and they'll be nice and large on your screen, and then all the rest of the people will be in a bar on the top. If you want to change your name, it looks like everybody is who they say they are. You can actually pop into the participants screen. If down on the bottom bar, there's a thing that says participants, you can click on your name and you can rename yourself. So if you share a computer with your spouse and need to rename yourself, you can do that. What's else? There's a chat box down in the bottom as well, and you can click into that and you can chat. I'll be monitoring the chat, and we're going to try to do raffle tickets today. So that would be where you write in how many raffle tickets you want. I'll be writing your names onto these lovely pieces of paper and putting them into this beautiful stellar drawing bowl. Bobby would be so proud. And Chris will be monitoring the chat, and she'll be sending out a little invoice for any raffle tickets that you want to do. At this point, we'll be doing please and thank yous at the end. I think that's it for my Zoom overview. Any questions from anybody? I hear a little bit of extraneous noise in the background, so it might be.
It sounds like a TV, somebody's TV maybe.
You mute. Robin, can you mute?
I thought I was muted.
Oh.
Can you hear me? Am I muted?
No, we can hear you. Down in your lower right, do you have background noise? Corinne's the person beside you that is the microphones are on. Okay, perfect. Awesome. I'm going to mute myself. Corinne, take it away.
Okay. Let's see.
You want me to admit people?
I just want to make sure I don't miss admitting some people. Okay. So
back. So
good morning. Yeah, that's fine. Good morning. Welcome. How many people do we have here? 10? Yeah. Okay, that's not bad. We were at 15. I think almost everybody here was on the last call. Sharon, maybe you weren't. Yeah. Anyways, we reached 15 at one point, so that's my goal today. So go bring 3 or 4 neighbors in. So we are going to do a raffle, and that was one of the first things on my list, to make sure. I think all of you are pretty Zoom efficient. You know how to use it. So we're just going to try to go back to some of the things we used to do, including a raffle. So we hope you'll all go down to the chat box, and that's down at the bottom of your screen, and buy tickets. So that means you, Steve, buy some tickets. We have 3 raffle prizes today, and we'll talk about that more towards the end. And Monica said, Chris is going to invoice you, probably through PayPal. We haven't quite decided that. So we're just going to give that a try. So I don't see Chris on here yet. Maybe Kathleen, could you send her a quick text? Thank you. Let's see, who is that? There's Chris right there. Can you let her in, Monica? So we did want to do just a few minutes of business today, and right up at the top of the list is our renewal letters went out yesterday, I believe. So a renewal letter as well as a statement for dues. And most of you here already know that we didn't worry about dues last year because our dues statement had just gone out literally 2 or 3 weeks before we were shut down. We had some members pay, but not very many. So we just decided to make that an okay thing for 2020, but it's not okay for 2021. we need dues in order to continue as an organization. So those dues are going out or did go out, and board members are committed to helping follow up. And we basically sent those out to lots of people, not just 2020 members, but 2019 members and 2018 members, to try to get our membership back up. So please help us in doing that. First of all, get your dues in immediately. We could use the cash. And second of all, help us by talking to your fellow businesses that care about downtown Port Orchard to get their renewal in, even if it's been a couple of years or they've never been a member. So that's probably the most important thing on my list right now. The second thing we wanted to talk about is we are doing a Valentine promotion, and I'm going to talk about a part of that and let Chris talk about the other part. We, as you know, did the downtown dollars, and we think it was pretty successful. I'm not going to go into details because all of you know what we did, maybe with the exception of Jamie, but we're going to repeat that slightly modified. I will say we have a $125 sponsor in Josephine's Mercantile. They're going to provide a $125 cash prize. And since we're only running it for 9 days instead of the 3.5 we did for Christmas, we thought $125 was a good cash prize. So we are going to have those downtown dollars ready to go and distributed for merchants to give out starting February 5th through the 14th. And Fathom's Royalty have committed to helping us with Get Caught shopping as well. So Chris, why don't you tell them what we're looking for the rest of the Valentine promotion? Here, you're not muted, you're muted. Chris, can you unmute, please?
The lower left-hand corner. There's a little microphone. There you are.
There she is.
Okay, I can't hear very well, so I don't know if you can hear me or not. My started my computer today, so I'm on my phone.
Yeah, I can
So
hear
for
you.
the rest of the promotion, if you'll send to what your have as specials. Last year we put an ad that listed everybody's specials. This year we will Facebook and put it on the website. So what you do is send me your specials are. And it can be anything. It can be just what currently advertising. It can be something definitely put together for Valentine's Day, but we need to get it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
If you don't know, now's the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, at the moment, I think Danielle is probably our main merchant sitting here. You know, Lorraine to a certain extent, and the Sydney Gallery too. So we'll get that word out there the way we usually do, through email, which everybody has to check their email. We were having that discussion earlier. And, you know, I mean, I just want to make sure that I know the people on this call right now know this, but help us spread the word that we're trying to do everything we can to serve the downtown businesses despite COVID and partial shutdowns. And the shutdowns are the stores are beginning to open, the restaurants are beginning to open. So that's very helpful and useful. But let Chris know what your sale discount special is, whatever you want to do. And ask you know, Robin, you're on a block with lots of merchants. So you're really good about talking to all of them. And that would be very helpful if you found out what the people around you might want to run as a special. So the other thing I wanted to mention is, all of this was in the newsletter that went out recently, is that we are going to do the Adopt a Planters again. And Chris is actually going to work on this with me or for me. And we're going to contact all the people who adopted the sidewalk planters last year and give them an opportunity to do it again. as well as any new people and merchants. So just as you're talking to people about the Adopt a Planters, there's no cost to sponsor it. Unlike the Christmas trees, I think that causes some confusion. The city did, you did have to do a $50 sponsorship, but that's because they were buying and installing the trees. So the planters, no cost to sponsor, just the cost of your plants. So, and we'll do that starting around mid-April. But make sure people understand they can't just pick a pot and start planting. They need to go through Chris or I, and they'll be assigned a planter. So it's probably the only way we're going to be able to afford to beautify downtown Port Orchard this year. So we're still working on our hanging baskets and hoping that will still come through. So those are the main three things. Before I introduce Jamie, I want to remind you again that we're doing the raffle, and what we have is a $20 gift card from the dock. We have a massage gift certificate from Monica from Harbor. What are you calling your? It doesn't matter. You don't have to answer.
Adam's Wellness.
Adam's Wellness. That's right. Adam's Wellness. It's not Harborview Massage anymore. It's Adam's Wellness. And then we have a little package of stuff from Sydney Art Gallery as well. Some, I don't remember, a glass bird and a Valentine card and a little Valentine print. Does that sound right? No, it doesn't matter. So do go down to chat and order your tickets. Tell us how many tickets you want at $1 a piece. So Jamie. So Jamie is currently the Kitsap County Business Advisor for the Small Business Development Center. Did I say that right? Small Business Development Center?
Yes. Yes.
And that's a program. Is that it's sponsored by Washington University, correct?
Well, I mean, I can give you a brief rundown on that.
Well, I'll let you do that. I'll just say I met her a number of years ago. Her little bio on the Facebook page for her business doesn't really say some of the things she's did locally. And that's what I wanted to mention because interestingly enough, it was a year ago yesterday, I think, that we had our first Port Orchard green drinks at Josephine's Mercantile. No, the first one was at Air Masters. The second one in February was at Josephine's Mercantile. The third one was supposed to be at the market, the Port Orchard Public Market, and then it was going to be in April, and then it was going to be in May. And sitting up in my attic is 2 cases of little tiny wine glasses that say Port Orchard Green Drinks that I actually bought out of my own money, waiting for a Port Orchard Green Drinks, and someday we'll have that. But Jamie started that in Bremerton. She was one of the people who, I think she had some helpers, started the first green drinks in Bremerton, and then worked for the Kitsap library system as their foundation director. And I'll let you take over from there and tell us what else you've done.
Well, yeah, that's a too long of a story for too short of a time. But basically, I've been involved in Kitsap County community and economic development in various ways for the last 14 years. And since I'm in Bremerton, I launched Green Drinks in Kitsap County back in 2009. And we held Green Drinks at over 55 venues that I counted in Bremerton as a way for businesses to market themselves to the community. So I've been involved, in my volunteer work with business. And so this is just kind of like, hey, they're going to pay me to do what I love to do and work with small businesses. So the Small Business Development Center, just, some quick background, because people are a little bit confused with the SBA and the SBDC, is that 40 years ago, Congress appropriated funds through the SBA to create these small business development centers. And the way they did that was to have a state college or university host a small business development center. And for a long time, that was only Washington State University. So they have most of the 25, 26 now, I think, SBDCs in Washington. But Western Washington is hosting now the biggest and, of course, most awesome SBDC in the state right now. And because they have their 4-year programs, degree programs at OC. They really wanted to invest more in the community. So along with local investors, because it's 3-tiered funding, SBA, Western Washington University, and local funders, right now we want more. We need more to keep this going. But to launch, it was City of Poulsbo, Kitsap Bank, Kitsap Credit Union, and First Federal Bank. And so all of us we're all MBAs. We all have to have owned businesses before. We all have crazy background. I have a lot of marketing background with tech companies and startup tech, clean tech businesses. And then we're also part of the state network. So the cool thing is, for example, if you want to export to Korea, well, I had to pass a test on exporting, but I'm really not the expert there. So I'll bring in one of our state export experts. And this is all a free service for-profit business.
I'm in the meeting, can I?
Which is just really sort of an amazing opportunity. We do everything from just answering quick questions for businesses to, to working with them on all of their startup processes and reviewing their business plans, make sure they have their licensing in place, to reviewing their financials, looking at their turnover rate for a grocery store. Is it time for them to expand or not? I mean, it just runs the gamut. If you just think you should be making more money, I'll help you do a deep dive on it. So anyway, a little background on me. And today I put together some slides. I don't want to scare you because I understand, that I think what would probably work best, I'll just go through the slides fairly quickly just to give you an overview on all the things that are going on right now with the stimulus funding. And then when I'm done with that, then based on your questions, we can go wherever we want, if that sounds okay.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And let's see if I can. Get that where I need it to go. Okay, does that look good to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So Paycheck Protection Program, that's the big one for everybody. Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the EIDL update. Employee Retention Tax Credit, that's something new and a great opportunity for a lot of businesses. If you already have an SBA-backed loan, you're getting some more payments covered by the government. And then the new shuttered venue grants, which probably, it applies to very few people so on this call and very few people generally, so I won't spend much time on that. And then we kind of already touched on this. And this is funny because it's funny that we have to put a disclaimer in there, but things are changing so quickly. And as what happened last year, everything gets rolled out and then they realize all the details that weren't covered in this, or they change things on us. And so everything I talk about today is going to be up to date today, this moment, and it might be changed in the next hour. So that's, although by this time more things are rolled out, so we're a little more settled in the details right now. Okay, so the big thing right now is the PPP. I'm just gonna, like somebody else did this kind of background here, so let me just put them all out there. Okay, so the PPP, the second draw, so basically, if you already had a PPP loan, which almost everybody, whether you were a gig worker, sole proprietor, own a bunch of franchise, whatever, and nonprofits, and now this year, chambers, can apply. So that was a big one. But I'll cover that part a little bit later. But for the second draw, if you already had a PPP loan, you now have to document, which is probably not hard for most people, to document a 25% reduction in gross revenue. Again, the loan amounts are based on 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. In the case of, if you're a sole proprietor, if you don't have a payroll, you basically just, you do it based on your average monthly income for 2019. And then this year, what's different is if you're in accommodation or food services businesses, and that's what these NAICS codes that start with 7.2. And if you don't know what that is, it's just designates what industry your business is in. And then you get to use a multiplier of 3.5 times, which can be, pretty darn significant. The nice thing is you can still use your 2019 income to calculate your average monthly income. So that's a really great thing, because you don't have to use 2020, which, you know, may have been way down, and you know, that doesn't make it a whole lot of money you're going to get. But using 2019, especially if you're in restaurants and accommodations, hospitality types of things, definitely, you know, that's going to be a big chunk. And then let's see, loans. Yeah, this, I mean, yeah, you're all good with the 300 or fewer, I'm guessing. So. Oh, there's arguments now going on, or debates, I should say, not arguments, about when the money is gonna, how long the money will last. And just, you know, just do it this week. If you're eligible, do it this week. Okay, again, I did not do this tricky little thing here, so I'm gonna put everything out there. Okay, allowable expenses and forgiveness. At least this is the same as last year, so I won't dwell on it, but at least 60% must be used for payroll expenses.
Hi,
Hi,
It's
get your lunch.
Robin?
Yeah, it's Robin.
Robin,
Sorry.
But the other thing is the number of allowable expenses has widely expanded. And that includes COVID related, and it also includes insurrection, which is really odd because it happened before January 6th. So I'm not sure what that one was about, but there's a lot more allowable expenses. And some people are thinking, well, you know, I'm just going to do 100% of payroll. You know, in 24 weeks, I can use 10 weeks worth of payroll. But I'm going to give you a reason later on to think about that, because of the employee retention tax credit, which we'll talk about in a minute here. And the other thing is, you know, there was the original PPP loan started out at 8 weeks, you know, period you could spend it in, and then it expanded to 24 weeks. And so the new twist this year is you can pick the time frame you want to use. And again, this may go to the employee retention tax credit on what you want to choose. Because, you know, well, the other thing you want to do is, we advised people last year, don't apply for forgiveness yet. Don't apply, because it's just going to get easier. And so I would wait to apply until there's going to be a new form coming out if it's $150,000 or less. We also think that the new form will, that you'll just be able to use one form for both of your loans if you did a PPP loan and the second draw. Okay, so if you're a first timer, I don't even know who that might be, but you're still able to get in as a first timer. You get priority. If you're a restaurant and a first timer, you don't get the 3.5 times. You're back at the 2.5, because that's the first time PPP. That's just, they're still holding the door open. If for some reason you qualified, you were eligible, but you didn't do it. So I don't think that's going to be a lot of people. I think more that might be, though, in some underserved communities and some minority businesses, for example. I think that's where we might see the most first timers, because you had to go through your bank to get this approved. And so if you didn't have that relationship with a bank, and that probably applies to more of our underserved communities and minority businesses, then that might be a reason you're a first timer. And so if you know somebody who you think might be in that area, you know, please let them know. You know, they can come and, you know, sign up with the SBDC, and I can help them, you know, try and find, because there's some other, there's these CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions, that have a special pot of money specifically for these types of underserved communities. Again, you don't have to remember all of it, just send them to me, and I'll help them if they're having trouble getting a PPP, but they're eligible. And almost anybody is. Again, the little, until the funds run out. So this is all, time is of the essence. I probably covered most of this. Oops. Okay. A big update is that before your payroll, there was no payroll deductions on payroll that was paid for with PPP. That's gone. It's all good now. Yeah, and just, it's not calculated. It's not taxable income, you know, the PPP, you know, or the EIDL. And so that's just kind of nice. There was just things that were, we hated to tell people that, you know what, you're gonna get your PPP, but you're gonna lose your payroll tax deduction. So that's not an issue anymore. They cleaned that up. That's great. The other thing they did was it no longer, your forgiveness for your PPP is no longer impacted by that EIDL advance. That was the economic injury disaster loan advance where people got from $1,000 to $10,000 as a grant, basically. And that was taken off your forgiveness. So if you got a $40,000 PPP and a $10,000 EIDL advance, you had to pay back the $10,000. That's gone too. So that's a new update for people who already had PPP loans. Okay, I wish I had thought to take off all the fanciness of this thing beforehand, but the loan itself, the 30-year loan, it does have restrictions on what you can spend it on, but it's a 3.75% business loan, and at this point, the idea is that you used it to help you reclaim your former business glory, and there was some weird restrictions on it. Again, it's still available until the end of the year. Excuse me. But you have to be careful on, you can't use it for just anything. So it has restrictions. If you're interested in that, again, you can look it up, and I'm happy to, walk through it with you too. Okay. I think I covered this in another place, maybe not. Okay, so the EIDL advance. So this was a big thing. Most people got an EIDL advance. Originally, they said everybody was going to get $10,000. And then within a week or maybe 10 days, they said, oopsie, we don't have enough money to do that. So a few people got $10,000, even if they worked from home and, sold, I don't know, whatever. But after that, they said, okay, it's going to be $1,000 times the number of employees you have. You yourself will count as an employee if you're a sole employer, and or a contract or whatever, up to $10,000. So now, now the thing is, they're saying, oh well, now we are going to give you the whole $10,000 if you meet on some new qualifiers. And so you have to be in a low income area, and they have yet to define the low income area. As of yesterday, they said, oh, we're creating some maps that will show you whether you're in a low income area or not. And then the other qualifier is you have to be able to document that your revenue decreased at least 30%. Most people can do that when you pick a quarter from 2019 to 2020. But the thing is, here's the thing, it's don't call us, we'll call you. There's not going to be an application portal. They're going to reach out to the people who already applied for that EIDL advance. And if you're in a low income area, then as far as I understand, you'll be able to document if your revenue decreased at least 30%. So there's some interesting things that aren't quite figured out in this yet. Because there's kind of like, in my mind, there's like 3 tiers of these EIDL advances. There's the people who got some money, but not $10,000. We know if you're in a low income area, you're going to get contacted. But the next tier is the people who didn't get any money because they ran out. When they applied, there was an advance available, and they were notified, that the money ran out. So we hope these people are at least included as well, because they kept saying, we'll make up the difference. Well, the difference is 0 if you got 0. But then there's a third tier of people that applied when they were already informed that the advance money had run out. And so they've applied for an EIDL loan. They knew they weren't going to get the advance. And will they get anything because they did apply for an EIDL loan? That's the gray area. I'm not sure that's going to happen. But and I'm not sure if anywhere in Kitsap County is in a low income area yet, because I can show you statistics that will say, Port Orchard, Bremerton, unincorporated Kitsap County is low income area, but I can show you others that say we aren't. So we have to wait for their tables, and that's sort of TBD. So, but again, there's not going to be an application portal. They're going to contact you. Okay, see, I didn't, yeah, okay. Okay, so here's the big new wrinkle. And again, if I only knew how many bullets I had, I'd know when to stop. That's probably it. But anyway, so this is new, and this is only because of the pandemic. And what happened for last year was you were not allowed to apply for this if you took out a PPP loan, which was almost everybody. But now they're saying retroactively, you can go back and you can, get the employee retention tax credit. But you can't calculate the credit based on any wages that were paid for by a PPP loan. So in the big picture here, what this does is it allows you to get up to $5,000 per employee for 2020. And that's based on calculations of 50% of up to $10,000 in wages for 2020. For 2021, it's even better. And it's for a total of Q1 and Q2, or you can break it down, $7,000 per quarter. You can get up to 70% of up to $10,000 in wages for each employee. Again, you can't calculate any wages that were paid for by the PPP. So therein creates sort of a strategy you might want to think about, because if you might want to not use the full 100% of your PPP on payroll, if you can use, up to the allowable 40% on rent, utilities, and all these expanded things, that means you have more money to use for your calculation on the employee retention tax credit. Again, anybody can sign up with me, and even if it's just that simple working through the ERTC, I'm happy to do that. But your CPA, should know all this stuff. But in the big picture, I'm not a CPA. I can look at your if you want to show me how you're doing your calculations, whatever. I'm fine to say, oh, it looks like, yeah, you should go ahead and do it or not. I'm not a CPA, but I do know the rules. So yeah, so that's kind of it. If you're this is something, if you have a business, you should definitely look at this, because at lower wages, you're not going to get $5,000 per employee. But, for 2020, it's the whole year. And then for 2021, the first 2 quarters, it's a higher percentage of your wages. So it's definitely worth looking at if you are a business owner. Okay, see, I didn't know when to push. Okay, there we go. This one I won't spend too much time on, but if you already have a loan, the government's paying more of your payments. And so there's some things that aren't ironed out here, because like when I did a 4 points to this SBA contact, and I said, these don't make sense if you look at them all together. And she's like, I'm running it up the flagpole, and I haven't heard back from her. But yeah, the whole loan payment is going to be covered. You don't have to pay it back. It's a gift, from the government. So if you have an SBA loan already, the bank should be handling that. I mean, the bank should be notifying you, whatever bank is holding your loan. This I'm not going to spend much time on, but this is basically, if you were a live venue, like, the Admiral Theater, for example, they're going to pay up 50%, I don't know what it was, 45% of your 2019 revenue up to 10 million, plus make loans available, for a big chunk of the rest of it. So they really want you not to go out of business and make you whole. And this has not been released yet. The problem is for this one is that you can't get a second draw PPP if you're going to do that. And of course, the problem being the PPP second draw is live now. It's going to run out of money, and you have to decide which one you're going to do. If you're going to do the shuttered venue, which could be more lucrative, but you're putting all your eggs in one basket because you can't now take the PPP second draw. And so basically what we're telling people, and this is from our SBA contact, is if you're not in the first tier, which means that you can document a 90% loss in 2020, then there may not be enough money to cover you, and you might want to just go for the PPP and be safe. But I hate the fact that we were hoping that you could apply for the PPP, not spend the funds until you knew if you got the shuttered venue grant, but they said no, it's not gonna fly. So again, and I can sometimes I can get questions, to the SBA if there's some unique situation, because I've had to have the SBA give me opinions on things, and then I forward the email to my client and I say, keep this with your documentation, because this opinion is what's letting you do something that, we didn't actually have rules for. Oh, yeah, so it's under 50 full-time employees. Okay, so those are all of my slides. And the one thing I didn't say about what I do is by mandate, we can only work with for-profit businesses. But with that said, if you call me or email me and you're a nonprofit and it's about pandemic relief, I'm happy to answer the question and direct you appropriately. I just can't take you on as a client, and it's just I'm sorry, I apologize. but that's it. So happy to take any questions.
Yeah, and you'll have to, of course, unmute yourself to ask her questions, but I've got several. So you can't take on a not-for-profit as a client, even if they have employees, it's just because of their tax designation?
Yeah, it's just by mandate. I mean, in terms of this is all something that 40 years ago,
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe, we have a new SBA director, as of, I don't know, yesterday, I think, but, maybe that'll change. And again, so what I say is that you can still call me or email me,
Sure.
and I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah,
And
I didn't know that. It just doesn't make any sense because lots of not-for-profits put revenue into their communities.
absolutely.
So,
No,
so
I totally.
you mentioned the Admiral, and as you know, I'm on the board for the Roxy. It sounds like we should talk to you unofficially about the shuttered venue grant, because we have no employees, so PPP didn't work for us at all. So shuttered venue might then?
Yeah, I mean, again, so what we have to, you have to show it's a live venue grant. And so you would have to show that most of your revenue, was from, live performances.
Okay. Versus.
But just contact me on the side and let's take a look at that. Because again, since it hasn't rolled out yet, things actually could change.
Yeah.
Rules can be edited, changed, updated between now and when it rolls out.
Yeah.
So yes, just contact me.
How do you define live venue when you're talking about something like a museum or an art gallery, or does it just not count at all then?
I haven't looked into museums yet, if they have to do live performances. But again, and I can look into this more. And again, I'm not even sure they have all of the rules out yet.
Right.
But I mean, I can get it to you, and so you can disseminate it to this group too. If you want to tell me, like, specifically, give me any questions you want to make sure I answer, and I can just make sure. But I'm not sure I have seen anything more on museum.
Well, art galleries have live shows, so.
Well, and but again, it's if it's the main focus, if your main revenue comes from the live performances, is generally how I've been hearing it. But in order to make sure we can, we can include everyone that could be included, I'm happy to just look into that more and get more detail on that
Okay.
and get that back to you.
Okay, let me ask one other question, then see if anyone else has one. I know of a business, and it's a restaurant too, and they believe, or they've been told that they haven't been able to get any relief money at all because they own their building and don't have any rent or even payments for their building. They own the building.
Mhm.
Is there a way that they might be helped? I mean, if we sent them to you?
Well, no, okay, so it's maybe I didn't hear right. A restaurant owner that owns their own building?
Yeah.
I think they have a mortgage on their building. I don't think.
Yeah, okay, so I wasn't sure about that part, but there's no writ, and I'm not sure if they're
Well,
misunderstanding or what.
yeah, no, they should be fine because I mean, you can easily spend, you only have 10 weeks equivalent to your payroll.
Right.
And so with 10 weeks equivalent to payroll, just spend it all on payroll.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
up to 24 weeks to spend it all on payroll,
Right.
if you want. Yeah, I mean, that's just an option. It doesn't mean you have to spend 40% on something besides payroll. It's just you can't spend more than 40% on
Got it.
something besides payroll.
Okay.
And in the case of the employee retention tax credit, which is new, even though it's retroactive to last year, it's only been part of this new stimulus package. And I was just saying that that's a reason why you could increase the amount of employee retention tax credit by lowering the amount you spend on payroll in the PPP. But again, like it's the negotiation between what your particular situation is, and how that applies best. But again, send them my way. I'm happy to look at anything in particular.
Okay. Other questions? Anyone at all?
I just want to say this has really been awesome. I'm a sole proprietor, and because they said payroll, I never called anybody. So I never applied for any of it. I just suffered, and people I know gave me money in the really early months.
So are you going to apply for a first time PPP then?
Yeah, I'll be connecting with you. Yeah, that sounds amazing, right?
Okay, well, and so what it is basically is you go back to your, do you do a Schedule C?
I do.
Okay, so line 31 of your, I'm so surprised I know these things at this point, but line 31 of your Schedule C, and you can use it from 2019, or you can use it from 2020 if you want. But most people would want to go to 2019, and that is your revenue for the year. And so you just divide it by 12 to get your average monthly payroll. And then that's what you use to calculate your 2.5 times to apply for your PPP loan.
Okay.
And so I will tell you too that from my experience from last year with the PPP is it really mattered who you banked with. And the local banks really hit it out of the park. I had one guy, he had tried to get a PPP loan through Wells Fargo, and he couldn't get anyone to speak to him, and he was waiting for weeks. And at that point, Kitsap Credit Union had come live, and he had a personal account there. And I'm like, go to those guys. And within 72 hours, he had his PPP loan. They just, because it was more lucrative for the big banks to take care of everyone with a bigger PPP loan first, because they get a percentage of it. It was all about the numbers.
Mhm.
And the local banks pretty much had it figured out that these are people, these are our customers. Our customers are the small business person, and so they've been really great.
I was actually with Wells Fargo through like October last year, and then I switched to Kitsap Credit Union. So does it make any difference how long I banked with them?
No, no, Kitsap Credit Union has been fantastic, I have to say, because they literally just started doing SBA-backed loans because of the pandemic. And they've just been really responsive. Some of the other banks will tell you, you have to become a customer for them to do a PPP loan. They won't talk to you unless you are. And then, they're taking care of their customers first, and then they'll take care of, I guess, maybe you just get in line if you go to them now. But yeah, Kitsap Credit Union definitely, they're one of our investors. They really care about small businesses, and Yeah, First Federal and, Kitsap Bank are also, Liberty Bay, I'll just say too, that they were kind of rock stars in terms of working nights and weekends and, getting people all lined up, beforehand. But there's other local banks as well. And, if you don't, if you're in a mind to, I would definitely check those people out. We hope we don't have pandemics every year, but they definitely were just amazing to work with for the local community.
Yeah, and I'd add a plug for Liberty too. Our bank for the restaurant. Some of the banks, and Jamie knows, I mean, it was a bit of a struggle to get it all figured out and move quickly enough, and some of them kind of maybe didn't. And we were able to get our PPP through Liberty. We were not a customer, we're still not a customer, but we had relationships there and they moved quickly, and that's where we got our PPP. So
yeah. Well, and what I would say, to be fair too, is Kitsap Credit Union and First Federal, for two of them, couldn't actually do it because they weren't doing these SBA backed loans. So they went through a fast track to get approved to
Yeah.
do PPP loans just to serve their customers.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
yeah.
yeah, well, I wish I'd had thought to have our bookkeeper for the restaurant, who is also a bookkeeper for several other restaurants and other businesses, on this call today. We won't qualify for a PPP loan because we were fortunate enough not to go under 25% at our restaurant. But I don't know, the ERTC we might qualify for that because we didn't lay anybody off the second time around. One person, but
Yeah. Well, you should totally benefit from that.
yeah. So I'm gonna send her to you because
Well, yeah, and I mean, yeah, here's the other thing too. Like, even if, for example, because even if you right now have saved documentation on, using the PPP last year, 100% for payroll, you can just reallocate that retroactively and find 40% that you can document that you spend on appropriate costs, to increase the employee retention tax credit that you take.
yeah. So, okay. Other questions, anybody?
Does
No?
anyone want raffle tickets? I have raffle tickets for Kathleen, Robin, Danielle, Monica, and Sharon. Anybody else?
Well, I'm gonna sign off,
Thanks, Jamie.
but thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Right. Thanks, Jamie. There's so many people I wish had been on this call.
It is recorded, so we can.
I know. I thought of that because I know we have businesses in the community who either got them or struggled getting them or didn't apply for them. And like you, Monica, sole proprietors. I'm sitting here thinking of several. I think, it's overwhelming, I think, too, to understand, the details of it. So did you have a question, Sharon?
Yeah, is there any way that you can cut out the portion of her presentation only and send it to the rest of the members who do have businesses? Because I thought, yeah, I'm like you. There should have been a lot of businesses on the call.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can we edit a recording?
Somebody might be able to,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's only a few minutes of business. We want them to have our whole business meeting and join us.
Yeah, and she might, I might be able to get copies of those slides from her, which, give a lot of information. So
I've already asked her if I could have a copy of them.
okay, good.
We can edit it. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Hearing her is great, but I'm like, Susan, getting a copy for the businesses who want a copy because there's no way they could print it off of the recording today.
Right.
Passing that information on, because even though Fathoms is totally nonprofit, I found that very interesting for the businesses of what they're offering.
I did too. And, and I mean, I had heard about the shuttered venue, but, I haven't, all these different businesses and organizations I'm involved in, I really try not to do any of the finances. I hate that part of it. So different people are working on them. And so it was a bit of a surprise to me to find out that it could only be a live arts venue. Because, you know, we do some live arts at the Roxy. We'll do a lot more going forward in the future. Would have done a lot more this year if we hadn't been shut, but primarily movies, and so we don't qualify. So that was a little disappointing. On the other hand, I worry about places like the Admiral and the Fifth Avenue and, you know, the Paramount and
WWCA.
well, yeah, WWCA, which you know, they're another one of our members, and I'm worried about them. In fact, I was going to, because I know them very well, and I was thinking of saying I would pay for their membership so we could, you know, sponsor their membership for a year.
Their email bounced when I sent out.
You know, and I think I saw that once before too. I'll reach out to them. You know, the music director who he just passed away, and he was the husband of you know, Genuine, the artistic director. And so I think we definitely need to spend some time cleaning up our email list. We do. There's several that are bouncing. There are several that need to be two different people in that organization now. And then we'll be removing some of them some point in the next month or two. So any other comments or questions or discussion? Yeah, Susan?
I need Ken Hall's email address. I can't find it anywhere.
Oh, I sent it to you the other day, I thought.
Uh-oh.
It's
Okay. I'll go back and look.
You're muted, Chris.
It's khall@Kitsap Bank. I sent it to you yesterday or the day before in one of those emails that we went back and forth with.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, I actually sent it to you, but was looking it up, and I was looking it up in the CC line and then copied it and put it in the email. But in the process of doing that, I accidentally sent to Ken Price at West Bay Auto. You know, those Kens. So anyway, anything else? I mean, just briefly, I mean, we talked about this at the beginning. I was worried last night and this morning when I was laying in bed that 8 o'clock wasn't a good time for a Zoom call because most of the people don't have to be anywhere that early. I don't know. So I'm committed to 8 o'clock next month because I've, you know, committed to Rob, our mayor is going to speak, and it has to be at 8 because he has a Zoom at 9, and it's actually a Zoom at 9 that Steve and I are going to participate in. But if I feel like we might want to try 9 the month after that, I don't know.
I'm okay with 8.
But look how few we have.
I know.
Yeah, but if we were doing a live meeting, we would be there even earlier than 8.
I know, but you don't, it's easy to go to work at 10 or 11. I don't know, maybe my thought processes are wrong. So, you know, we had to have it earlier so people could get out of the meeting, go to their business, and open their place. But we have a lot of people don't need to open a place at 9 or even 10 or 11 until 10 or 11. And I just wonder if they would jump on a call that was a little later. I don't know.
Try it one time and see.
Do you think any difference if we do an 8:30?
I don't know. I'll go back and look at that survey. Monica asked me about that this morning, and I haven't looked at the most recent results. So like I said, we'll do it at 8 in February and then see how many people we get on then. You know, it's not that I don't want to sit here on Zoom with you guys. I don't want to do this indefinitely if it's just a handful of people.
So I think that in our board outreach, when we go to members, or even is you talk to people in the community, reminding them that we have a Zoom meeting and it's a great place to connect and hear relevant information.
Right. And we need to have, you know, if not 100%, at least 90% participation from board members. That helps too. That helps me feel better about it. So
It was hard this morning.
Trust me, I did not want to get up. I have to get
It
up.
was hard, and you need that extra time just to get the computer to work.
Yeah. Well, I logged on at 7:30. So if anybody needs help with Zoom, I'm here setting up microphones and making sure I have raffle ticket things. So, I'm here to
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
And no difference to
And
me.
I-
It's easier to stay home and just pour my coffee in the kitchen than it is to slip downtown. Let's do a raffle draw.
Okay, yeah, let's do the raffle. Let's start with your massage gift certificate. That's actually probably the most valuable out of the three. I mean, in terms of value.
Danielle. And I don't-
Danielle's off the floor, the call now, but okay, great. She'll be happy about that. So
My internet is unstable.
what'd you say?
Somebody's internet is unstable. Keep going.
Sharon. Okay, and then we have a little package of goodies from the Sydney Art Gallery. And she's got some of that right there. So yeah, those little birds are so cute. I bought some of those at Christmas. Look at all that, all kinds of things. So thank you. So who's the winner of all that cute little stuff?
That was me.
Okay.
Sharon. Okay, Sharon, I missed that. Okay, and then last is a $20 gift card to the dock, which I'm the one who said we needed to have pictures, and now I don't have one for you, but a gift card's a gift card.
Kathleen.
Kathleen, okay, and she dropped off too. Kathleen did tell me ahead of time she was going to have to leave at 8:30. So, okay, so Chris, you can send a statement. You could send and tell them to pay by PayPal, however you decide, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay, so I'm seeing 2 in chat, and Monica, you said you had how many others?
Kathleen at 5, Robin at 5, Danielle at 5, Monica at 3, and Sharon at 5.
Okay, I'm seeing Sharon and Robin, and that's all I'm seeing. So hold on a second, let me find a pen.
It may have been because you logged on later, so you missed that part of the chat.
I'll just email it to you, Chris.
Okay,
Okay, so so we do have time for please and thank yous, like, a minute or two. Anyone who will have a please and thank you? Lorraine, you have anything to say today?
Good morning, everybody. I don't have anything wonderful to say other than that was a really great presentation.
Yeah, I don't know if you can make any use of it either.
Well, I didn't know I could qualify for the PPP because I'm like Monica, I'm the sole proprietor. And so I figured other people need it and I didn't, but I'm going to follow up with Jamie.
Yeah.
Ask
Yeah,
her
and
some
I
more.
should send out her contact information. So
Definitely.
I've known her for a long time, and she is a very fun, nice person to work with. She also, I believe, still owns an Airbnb in Bremerton as well. So she has done a lot of different things. So and is very well known in the Bremerton community. So
That was a good resource. Thank you.
yeah, please and thank you. Anyone? Susan's cat.
I don't have a please and thank you, but I just want to give an update, and I'll give an update next month on what Fathoms is doing.
Okay.
For 28 years, we've hosted our annual Easter egg hunt up at the Community Regional Park, which we cannot social distance as we didn't do it last year, and we're not going to be able to do it this year in April because there's no way you can social distance that mob. And so our board this week decided that we will pull our Easter egg hunt downtown. We haven't come up with a name yet. It might be Hop Over the Cars because the Mustang Club is going to work with us. And I've got the information into the city. I just have to get it into Kathy for the port to reserve what we need to do. But we want to bring it down and we can social distance the kids coming in. They go from car to car, pick up their Easter eggs, they open them up. If they get a golden ticket, they go one direction. If they don't, they go out and go home. But we're going to bring it to town and hopefully we'll draw a lot of people downtown to help the merchants out this year.
That's great. That's good.
Really great.
Yeah. I know the Rock Community Rock Club or whatever, Community Rock Love, or I think they're doing some kind of a rock event for Valentine's. And I told her to get back to me to see if there's some way POBSA could be involved, but we haven't really talked anymore about that. So, because that does bring people downtown.
Maureen, can you just explain the downtown dollars, just so that in the recording, we've kind of capture how that works for merchants?
Okay, well, at our board meeting last week, we talked about making some adjustments to the value of the downtown dollars and stuff. And I think, I think we need to do that going forward, but Chris and I really talked about it at length. And for Valentine's, I'm not going to make any change. Well, a little bit of a change. Valentine's Day, I mean, we're only doing it for 9 days. It's not the shopping frenzy Christmas is, and the amount of money people spend is less per store, I think. So we're going to stick with each downtown dollar is worth $10. If you spend 10, you get 1. If you spend 20, if you spend over 10, you get 2. If you spend over 30, just make it just really simple that way. So I think I was making it too complicated with the, if it's over 5 to 21 and all that. So, but we're going to keep them at the $10 value instead of making each card a $25 value. And we're going to print up, I forget how many we said.
So
2,000.
2,000.
Literally get something that look like bucks that you write your name into.
Yeah,
Almost.
it's a business card size. It's business card size, and on the back you put your name, email, phone number, and
zip code.
And a zip code. We're going to add the zip code so we can track that for lodging. And it's really dependent upon the merchants to hand them out. So we want them to start handing them out to customers on Friday the 5th. So we have to get them all out. And I'm gone till the 2nd. So when I get back on the 2nd, that's a Tuesday. So I'll do that on Wednesday and Thursday with whoever can help. And I think that, the merchants who did it last time, they're very familiar with it this time. And I'll have a box at the market so customers can bring their downtown dollars down by a certain time on Sunday, February 14th. And then we'll draw a winner for $125 cash. And then I want to have, 2 runner-up gift certificates. And it'd be great to have something. Last time it was Bay Street Bistro and the Dock. Like to have something, somebody else this time, some other businesses. And we did $50 gift certificates for runner-up, but it could be, $10 or $25 value. So, but it's only 9 days compared to the 3.5 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. I think we should do it for Mother's Day, maybe ladies' night out. I don't know. We'll see. And the royalty will come down and do the get caught shopping several times during that 9 days, where they'll just be down there, probably just in their princess outfits, and hand out cards to people in stores and restaurants as they're actually, making purchases. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. And additionally, I know this doesn't really fit for any of us except for maybe me. If you have sales discounts or any kind of special, get it to Chris and we'll get it out to the community.
Or even if it's just like Lorraine, even if it's just come spend the weekend at Mrs. Howe's Bed and Breakfast or something,
Yeah.
We can still put that in.
Anything, because then it just gives you that little bit more promotion. So we'll see how it goes. Getting people to respond is difficult. I don't know why, but it is. Shouldn't be. Am I flashing? My screen keeps flashing. And my internet connection is not
I think
good.
the internet's wonky today.
Yeah. So,
Mine cut out. You guys all froze on the screen a couple of times for me. So then a little blurb said internet connection weak.
so.
Hey, Corinne, do you think it would help? I can make a form on the website that the business could fill out, instead of having to email somebody or call somebody, they could just go to a page and say, okay, here's my event, or here's my special or something, and just fill it out. And then it would show up in the email.
Yeah. I think that'd be great. So,
Okay, I'll do that today.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you all for, unless anybody has anything else. Thank you all for joining us this morning, and thanks for all
Ladies,
your.
I need to pop out. I'm just gonna join another Zoom meeting, but I'm gonna leave the recording going. I'm gonna multitask. You're just not
Okay.
gonna see me.
All right. I think we're all ready to go. So
Okay.
thanks. Bye.
Bye.